Like summer, sixth grade year, I was going to junior high school. I moved and I was a new kid again. And the whole summer, man, I was just fight. I mean, the summer lasted 3 months. I might have had like 12 or 15 fights. Like, it was fighting. Like, whether they was trying to steal my bike, whether they didn't like me because I was from the other side of town, whether they want to take my hat. That's back in the day when they had starter jackets. They was taking dual starter jackets. Like, because I was a new kid and I was an outsider, I was the one that everybody would say, let's take his shit. Right. And so I was fighting. And it was a school right up the street from me called Clark Junior High School. It was probably a 3 or 4 minute walk. And I couldn't go to that school because I was getting to so many fights. And, it take a lot for a sixth grader to go to his mom, but like, I can't go to that school. Right. But I went to my mom and told my mom, like, I can't go to that school because I'm going to be getting fights every day because this is how the summer is. And so my mom ended up allowing me to catch two buses. It took me 2 buses to get home. 2 buses to get to school, 2 buses to get home. So I rode probably an hour and 10 minutes, hour 15 minutes to school on 2 city buses, hour 20 minutes, hour 15, 10 minutes back home. Wow. And this happened 7th, 8th grade year. And I had to, really, because I was the new kid on the block, I had to have some type of protection. Sure. So I started carrying like a little Louisville Slugger, one of those ones you get from the baseball game. Mm-hmm. And I started carrying like in my waist, in my backpack, in my pocket. Like I was by myself. I was in a neighborhood where I never had to use it. That's the thing about it. I never had to use it, but I always had it on me. And it's crazy the way it came about. My mom gave it to me. Okay. For protection. For protection, because I went to my mom and told my mom, like, I'm getting in fights. I'm coming home scratched up, bruised up. I'm like, man, everywhere I go, I'm like, I can't go to a store without getting into a fight. So she like, take this next time somebody put their hands on me, you bust their motherfucking head. So I carried it around for 2 straight years. Like, I didn't go nowhere without it.
So it sounds like, as a 6th grader, you already had this awareness of it maybe being a safety issue. Going to the school that was, like, what is that, 3 or 4 minute walk?
Yeah, about 3 or 4 minute walk.
But for 2 years, you did almost a 2.5 hour bus loop to go to school. Every day.
I don't know if I didn't feel safe. I didn't like that neighborhood. I didn't really feel safe like walking from the bus stop to my house at first. Because these are the same dudes I'm walking by. Now by this time I'm getting home, now they're home, they're out playing in the streets now.
Sure.
So I still gotta walk by these cats, I done have fights with them and
right.
dudes just saying, yelling stuff and stuff like that. So not that I didn't feel safe in my neighborhood. I always thought I felt safe. Like I was never like scared.
Okay.
It was just, she gave it to me for your protection. So just in case they try to jump on you, take this.
Right.
So that's what I had, but I never had to use it. So I did that for 2 years.
So in 7th and 8th grade, when you were taking this long route to school, with catching 2 buses, what was your school attendance like those 2 school years?
I did great. I was at school every day.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, it's.
You could have walked 4 minutes to school, but you took an hour and 10 minute ride each way to school, and you still had great attendance?
I still had great attendance.
That's awesome.
My mom made sure I got to school if the weather was bad. My mom did it, my aunts did. At the time, I haven't enjoyed school, so I wanted to go.
Sure.
And the school I was going to was where all my friends from elementary was at, so I couldn't wait to get to school too, and I felt more comfortable. I was around people I knew, people I grew up with. Mm-hmm. These are the guys around my house. I didn't know these dudes, so I didn't feel very comfortable.
Okay.
That's probably a good word to say. I feel comfortable.
You're comfortable, right?
Yeah.
And when you think back to your community, I know you said you moved fairly often, every other year, and a lot of different houses and neighborhoods to kind of get acclimated to. Mm-hmm. What type of things were you exposed to in these various neighborhoods?
I guess the same thing as everybody else. Drugs, crime, prostitution. They had a little bit of everything in East St. Louis, man. Anything you can think of. pimping, they drinking, they smoking, you know, any other inner city, any LA or Baltimore, you know,
And that was pretty common around all the different neighborhoods you were within East St. Louis.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, drugs is, I mean, you can walk home from the street and see needles on the ground, from whether it's heroin or whatever it is they're doing with it. If you want to consider marijuana a drug, I guess, the way I grew up, marijuana wasn't considered a drug, though. Like, in East St. Louis, it was, I don't know about the whole East St. Louis.
Sure.
The way I grew up, marijuana wasn't really a drug. Like, you could, I mean, everybody smoked weed, so I don't know.
So you guys legalized it before Colorado.
Way before Colorado.
And that was kind of like that's kind of a community norm that marijuana wasn't viewed as a drug.
Yeah, marijuana wasn't viewed as a drug. I mean, yeah, everybody smoked, like everybody, grandmamas and mamas and aunties and everybody smoked weed. So it wasn't, I didn't really see weed as a bad thing. Like,
Okay.
it was weed. Like, no, they wouldn't take you to jail for weed, would they? You know? So I really didn't see weed as, it was nothing for other older.
Okay. It sounds like mom had some good rules and expectations for you growing up.
She did. She did. She had a structured system the best she could.
Mm-hmm.
But even, I mean, my mom was a partier. Like I said, it's 5 of us, 5 kids, 5 different dads. So she clubbed a lot.
Okay.
But my grandma would keep it intact.
Okay.
I mean, my mom disappeared for a week. My grandma was still.
Right.
Everything's gonna run according to her plan.
Sure. So, and when you say mom, when you said the best she could, can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Like, my mom's only 16 years older than me.
Okay.
So she was like a kid raising a kid. So if you can imagine, when I'm 12, she's 28. When I'm 8, she's 24. So she's still learning how to be a woman. She's learning how to be a mom. She's learning, the do's and don'ts. She's growing up at the same time I'm growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So she didn't always have the best teaching methods. It wasn't the Huxtable family, I can assure you. Like, my mom was a fighter. She fight. She got caught. I was with her one time. She got caught shoplifting, trying to buy us clothes, trying to get us.
When you were with her, you said?
Yeah. We just came on one time. She got caught shoplifting, and they took her to jail. My grandma came and bought her out of jail, and then when she got out of jail, she just told me, like, I didn't have any money to buy y'all school clothes, so that's the way I did it. She apologized for having me with her, but so.
And about how old were you in that? You can recall?
I was about 11.
Okay. And was she arrested in front of you?
Yeah. They came and got both of us and took us back to the little quiet room. They got whatever room. The police came. They arrested her. They called my grandma to come get me. We went down to the jail, bonded her out.
Yeah.
We went home.
And do you recall when that event happened? Like, what were your thoughts? What were you thinking during that whole event?
I didn't know she had been stealing us clothes, but she told me that day, like, that she had been, that's how she'd been getting our school clothes. I had no idea, but she kept us dressed like we weren't bummy kids. We didn't have like holes in our pants like most of my friends did. Or we didn't have holes in our shoes. She always kept us with something. So, but at that age, I had no idea how she was getting them. Yeah. But I just felt like she was doing what she had to do. So I didn't look at her a certain type of way, like, oh, you're a thief. I was like, right. That's what people, they call it boosting. That's what people do. People steal clothes.
Right.
So I didn't think it was.
Right. In your eyes, mom was getting you close.
Yeah, she was doing what she had to do. She was 5 of us.
Needs, right?
Yes, it was 5 of us with no daddy. So, yeah.
I want to go back to one thing you had mentioned earlier, and that situation when the 2 boys had chased you home, and your aunt came out and said you're gonna fight this out.
Yeah.
How were conflicts handled in your neighborhood amongst peers or families?
No, that's exactly how it was handled. You're gonna fight.
Yeah.
That's what you do. You don't start fights. Like, that's a family thing. You don't start fights. Like, if you can avoid it, if you can walk away, you walk away. You do whatever you can. But once somebody like enter that bubble, as my mom said, once they enter your bubble, you have every right to defend yourself. So if it means picking up a bottle, if it means picking up a stick or a rock, you make sure they don't pick you as that target again. So that's how we came up. I mean, I had when I was younger, I had two twin boys jump on me, beat me up, and my mom thought I was bleeding out my mouth. It was candy. And my mom took me down the street, and I showed her where the boys was at, and my bike was still in the street. I mean, this happened probably 5-6 minutes span by the time I made it home and we was back.
Right.
And I never forget, man, my mom and my auntie had the boys on the side of the house with the shirt like this, bumping his head
Really?
up against the side of the house, like, you don't touch my baby. And it was fights. Like, that's
just how the conflict was dealt with.
yeah, he pretty much. I mean, it wasn't like guns. Like we was fighting. People didn't just pull out a gun, boom, you dead. I mean, some people did, but not my family. Right? We was raised to, somebody put their hands on you, you try to whoop their ass.
Sure.
All my family, my aunts, my mama, my uncles, they fight.
Yeah. So, so there's some handling of conflicts and issues amongst yourselves. Was there a police presence in any of your communities or neighborhoods growing up? Or do you recall having a relationship with police officers? Or
We didn't really call the police. Like, the police don't. And not that my mom said, hey, you don't call the police. It was just like, you just knew you don't call the police. Because for one thing, police, when the police came, usually somebody was going to jail.
okay,
So we would rather sit out on the street and fight and go home and put some ice on your forehead versus somebody going to jail.
right.
So whether I was wrong or somebody else was wrong, I can't ever remember, and we've had plenty of fights, I can never remember anybody in my family calling the police on anybody. Like, even when my mom's boyfriend was kicking her ass, I called my uncle.
Okay.
My uncle came over and whipped his ass. I wouldn't dare dial 911. Like, because then the police come to your house, people gonna be in business. So.
And the police come and sounds like they're being taken to jail. Was there a sense of trust between your neighborhood and the police? Or was there a relationship there?
I can't even speak to it because I never ran across them. So it wasn't like I hated the police.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have any interactions with them.
Okay.
Like I didn't know any of the police. Police didn't know me. My family, my mom, my sisters, my brothers. We don't call them. You get into a fight.
Right, you call family.
You call family. Somebody steal your bike. Somebody knock me on my bike, take my bike. I call my uncle.
Right.
Somebody try to jump on me. I call my cousins.
Right.
So we kind of police our own family.
Okay.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of calling the police because what the police gonna do? They're making me to a snitch. I'm in East St. Louis now, a snitch. People calling me snitches now. Shit just don't get worse.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said earlier, I didn't know how poor I was. I didn't know I was the whole community poverty stricken. I didn't know that the dropout rate was, in like 88 or 89 it was like the murder capital of the United States. I had no idea that people was dying at this pace. I wasn't privy to like seeing dead bodies or walking to a whole house full of people dead. My mom kind of kept me inside the house.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I didn't know all that stuff was going on. It was home to me. So
right. Yeah, and even though you alluded to your mom being a very young mother, it sounds like she still had, some great, concern for your guys' well-being and set some things aside to make sure that you guys were safe.
Yeah, and if she didn't, my grandma would have. So, I mean, my grandma was still raising her. She was raising me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, my grandma usually had the last say-so of everything.
Sure.
Most of the time, because it was her house.
Right.
So if you don't like it, you can get the fuck out.
Yeah.
So yeah. So most
She
of the time,
gives you a little eviction notice.
yeah. You got to go.
Right.
Well,
I really appreciate your forthcoming and just your willingness to talk about your neighborhood and share some information with me. And as we kind of wind down our session today, and as you transition back to going back to your unit, if things were to come up that might trigger you, or from some of this information you shared, do you feel like you're in a pretty good place with the safety plan we set up?
yeah, I'm good. The safety plan is sufficient. So I'm good.
All right, great.